So this evening's format will have presentations from the Social Development Commission. We'll have presentations from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. We hope to have the Police High Command, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, will be here with us later on. You will have presentations from the credit union, both on our products and services, and also a general presentation on financial literacy and things that you can do to improve your personal finances. Just make sure you listen to all the various presenters, and please, the floor will be open for questions. At the end of each presentation, you can ask your questions, and whatever you're not clear on, this is the forum in which you can get clarification. All right? Two of our guest presenters are here, so let me acknowledge Mr. Osborne, representing the Social Development Commission, and also Mr. Gregory from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Later on, we'll have some more of our credit union volunteers and staff joining us. But with me today, we have Mrs. Hewitt, Mrs. Vassiana Hewitt, who did the prayer just now. We have Mr. Gregory Mulgrave, our marketing officer, and of course, I am Michael Gottschall, the sales and marketing manager. All right? We also have members of the media here, so let us welcome them. And as I said earlier, let's just sit back, relax, and have a very informative and interactive meeting. All right? Don't just listen to the presenters, ask your questions, engage them, and get your clarification. At this point, let me invite Mr. Osborne from the Social Development Commission to make his presentation.
My name is Oren Osborne, and I'm the field supervisor at the Social Development Commission in Manchester. And of course, I must commend you as members of this noble organization, the Manchester Cooperative Credit Union. You know, it is really a good practice for you to be engaged with such an organization. This evening, my presentation will be on the Social Development Commission, which is the organization that I represent. The Social Development Commission, we evolved from the Jamaica Welfare Limited in 1937, where we were seen as the pioneers of rural community development. And from that, we became the principal community development agency, working with 775 communities in Jamaica. We are positioned in the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development. The SDC continues to execute our legal mandate, which is to promote and control schemes for and to do any act which may directly or indirectly serve the advancement of our populace in Jamaica. And some of the tenets that we pay much attention to are the social, the cultural, the economic, and even the sports development or the sport development for our people. The Social Development Commission, we are an evidence-based organization. We are technologically driven. Our work impinges on a scientific model, right? So we do not work in a haphazard way. Our work impinges on a model, right? Our organization is focused on increasing community participation for good governance within the respective communities. And in Manchester, out of the, how many communities I said we had in Jamaica? Aye. Yes, you're listening, man. You're alive. Yes, you're alive. Yes. We have 775 communities across the island of Jamaica. But in Manchester, we have 73 of those communities to service. And within those 73 communities, we have 425 districts. Some people continue to mix up the differentiation between a community and a district. A community is a geographical space where people share commonalities, share the same social services, and they interact within that space. Now, the district is a smaller component. So in a district, you might not find a post office or a clinic, but you'll find that in a community. You might not find a school in a district, but you'll find it in a community. So as a community development agency, we always try to assist people in differentiating the difference between what a community is as against a district. A district, as I said, is a minute component of what a community is identified as. We work from policy context. So as we engage our civil society organizations, and we have 3 levels of civil society organizations that we work with. We have the level 1 civil society organizations such as the youth clubs, the citizens associations, community clubs, faith-based organizations, sports groups. These are level 1 civil society organizations. When we move up to the next tier, we now have a conglomerate of all of these splinter groups within a particular community, sending representation from all of these sector groups or civil society groups to form what is called a mini parliament for that community. And we classify that level 2 organization as a community development committee. So this is the opportunity and the platform and the forum that communities are provided with so that you can express your issues, share them, and you try to resolve them in the best way you can. If you can't, then you call, we will call, because we have community development officers that are assigned to a particular area of the parish. And as long as you invite us to your meetings, we will be able to guide you along the path of resolving some of these issues that you're having. We believe in partnership building, and we cannot do it all alone. So what we do is that we will engage the relevant agencies that can address an issue that we might not be able to contend with. But I am challenging you, members. You all live within a community. Become involved, get involved in your community organizations, because it will enable safety and security within your communities as well. Yes? Because I know the notion that is out there that sometimes mistrust is there with other entities. But if you are able, we have provided you with a forum where you can discuss your issues and to invite the agencies that can resolve those issues. You need to use it up. You need to utilize it. Don't be selfish and just stay inside of your homes and try to grapple with issues that you alone cannot resolve. So it is very incumbent that you get involved and come to the discussion table. Share your views with respect, of course. And this is where you will be able to create the platform to resolve your issues. Now, the level 3 civil society organization is a wider conglomerate of the Community Development Committee. It is now a collaboration or a combination of various communities within what we call a development area. In Manchester, the Manchester Municipal Corporation has a development order. Coming out of that development order, we have been given that assignment to identify the development areas based on our National Development Plan, which is Vision 2030 Jamaica. So we have 9 of these development areas in the parish of Manchester, where by the year 2030, we should be seeing a lot of development taking place within those spaces. But it needs the advocacy, the strength of advocacy of the people that will ensure that development takes place. Because the voice of the nation, people, is the voice of the people, You have the powers, But a lot of people are misinformed. Or you do not understand due process. You are the ones who can make the difference in our country. Yes, you. Do not sit and wait on the policymakers to do it all for you. You have a part to play. You have a responsibility to play in the upliftment of our country. So we have 9 of these development areas across the parish. We have Porus, we have Williamsfield, we have Mandeville, we have Christiana, we have Mile Gully, we have Asia, we have Cross Keys, we have Newport, and we have Alligator Pond. So by 2030, when you all go down to Alligator Pond, they should be having like a big shipping harbor. Yes? They should be having maybe a highway down that side. Yes? And anything that they so desire, they should be having a fire substation down there. Because when the fire unit has to leave Mandeville to attend to a fire way down in Alligator Pond, that housing unit is gone, by the time it reaches there. So they need to advocate for a substation down there. And it can happen. It can happen. So these development area committees, which is a combination, like within the Alligator Pond area, we have 5 communities. We have Prospect, Botop, New Forest, Downs, and Alligator Pond. Now, on a monthly basis, these 4 communities meet. And this is a level 3 civil society organization. We call them development area committees. And this is where we expect representation to come to the discussion table with issues that are affecting them in the various communities, so that we can have a broader discussion and we can develop a broader perspective on the issues, so that when you have more minds coming together, you'll have better strategies being put in place to resolve them. Last but not least, the level 4 civil society organization is the Parish Development Committee, where every month you have the chairpersons from the 9 development area committees. They are mandated to attend these management committee meetings. They have an office by the Rada building, and they work in close collaboration with the Manchester Municipal Corporation and other agencies to talk about development for the parish. Yes. So a lot of things are going on, But if you're not in the know, and if you're not involved, then you will never know what is happening. But a lot of plans are happening. We are the first parish that designed a local sustainable development plan. We were the first parish. And out of that plan, a lot of activities, or a lot of the components within that plan has been already achieved. Do you know that in short order, in a little while from now, we will be seeing Mandeville becoming the greater Mandeville area, where the courthouse should be way out, it will be way out in Spurtree, out in that area. Yes, because of the congestion in the town. We might soon have a flyover where you have a road in the air there going over because of congestion. These things are on the plan, you know. These things are on the plan. These things are in the making. The market might soon be out of the town too. And then now you'll have shuttle service taking you to the courts in out in near to Spurtree. What's the name of that place again? Kingsland. Yes. Out in that area. So you see, lots of things will happen and is happening. But we need the involvement of the people, the residents within the parish and the country at large has a great part to play in the movement of our country. Now, I'll just quickly inform you of the 7 programs that the Social Development Commission offers when we work with our community groups. First of all, our first program speaks to the strengthening of the participatory governance framework program, where we assist in the organization, or we coordinate the organization of community groups, the establishment of community groups, because every community should have a forum, should have a group. So if you are in a community and you don't have a group, then you're in trouble. Because the non-progressive elements, they're going to come in now and form all kind of informal groups that is going to upset the normal day-to-day operations within your space. Yes, and they're not afraid to do it. But if they know that you're a coordinated community and you're organized, then they will have to think twice before they try to intervene or to interfere in your community. Yes. Our second program speaks to Community Incentive and Grants Program, where every November we commemorate the month as Community Month, where we award our community leaders for the work that they have done over the ensuing year. Because all of what we do, you know, is volunteerism, you know. All of what we do is volunteerism. So you don't get paid. But you have a responsibility to play for the safety and security of your communities. You cannot depend on the police alone to do it for you. And community policing is something that is very critical, very important. So don't be afraid when people are talking about informer this and informer that. Be a good informer and inform upon the right thing. Tell the right thing. Don't stay in a community and you see elements coming there and you don't know where they come from. Sometimes they are migrating from hot spots. And this is why a lot of criminal activities are even happening in Manchester right now, because of migration of these insurgents. So we need to pay attention to that. So don't play a blind eye when you see them. Say something. If you're afraid to say it to the police, say it to somebody else. There are other agencies who you can say it to. And the police, they have so many media that you can call on to report any instances of suspicious movements. Our next program program number 3 speaks to Parish Interagency Network, where every quarter we have a meeting with all the agencies within the parish of Manchester. And I'm going to invite Mr. Gottschalk, you and your team, sir. We want you to become a part of our interagency network. Yes, we have a quarterly meeting where we look at the work that each agency is doing in the parish and see if we can move forward in a collaborative way, where we approach the communities in a united way, in an integrated approach, so that everybody don't come on, you hear a little piece of this, a little piece of that, a little piece of something else. We want to move in one accord. So we have to practice that. The agencies have to practice that as well, so that the communities can get a better appreciation of what collaboration is all about. Our 4th program speaks to community research and database, and also priority planning and program development. Now, we at the Social Development Commission, we have a profile, a community profile on 72 of the 73 communities. The only community that we do not have a profile right now in-house on is Mandeville. And this year, we are addressing that. It is costing us a lot of money to do it, but we have partnered with NCU to assist us in doing it. So we'll be having a profile, a community profile for Mandeville by the end of the year. A profile consists of all the elements, the social elements as it relates to education, employment, the age cohorts that we have in the communities, because we also want to know if a community is an aging population or it's a youth population, you know. So all of these components are placed, data is inputted in that profile, right? And that helps to stimulate and to direct planning. Because we need to have a blueprint to plan, you know. You cannot plan off the top of your head. You have to have a blueprint, some form of framework to plan from. So we engage community groups in that as well. The 5th one speaks to local economic development. And this is where we are now engaging community groups to think business. We know that the employment landscape is very, very limited in the country presently. So we have to be teaching people now how to think of innovative ideas that can generate income for themselves. And people, let me tell you, we have over 43. We soon reach 50. I think we almost reach 50 of these groups, you know, community people, you know, coming together and coming up. They produce wines, they produce jams, they produce jewelries. Yeah, we have an enterprise by the name of Aviola. It's a young lady, you know. She started to pick up the plastic bottles. And she used copper wires. And she cut up the bottles them, you know, and make earrings, bangles, necklaces, you name it. Every single thing she makes from them. She's promoting the Jamaica Business Development Corporation. When you see there's a video, a caption promoting the Jamaica Business Development Corporation. She's a slim young lady. When you watch your television again or your cable, you will see her. She's right here from Mandeville. Yes. We have groups that are doing many, many things. In Cross Keys, we have a group that they make plantain curls. So when you go in the supermarkets and you see the R&R plantain curls, they are in the supermarkets, they are in the pharmacies, It is from your own people. What they do is that they cut the plantain, green plantains, and then they use heat, excess heat. They deep fry the chips. So when they deep fry it in that excessive heat, it comes with a curl. And believe you me, people, it is doing well. So when you go into the supermarkets, it is there. When you go into some of the pharmacies in Mandeville, it is there. You have another one, the Tops brand. Whenever you go into the supermarket and you see Tops or Sipa Copper, it is coming from Asia. The people from Asia. Yes. They have a product as well in the market, on the market. I don't buy any other tea bags if I don't have to. I buy from my local people. Tops, when you go in the supermarket, look for the Tops brand, yes, or the Sipa Copper brand. It's coming from our own people. They have a very good, and the list goes on and on and on, people. So things are happening. The sixth one is a new one. Okay, the sixth one speaks to sports for community development. Where you know that the young people, they are full of energy, you know. So we have to engage them in activities that they can expend their energies into positive activities. So we have our 2020 cricket, we have our netball, where we partner with Petrojam, and we have our basketball competition for the youngsters. As we speak, our 2020 cricket competition has started, and it will run into August. And the national champion gets $1.2 million for winning the competition. The second place gets $600,000. The third place gets $300,000. And the fourth place gets $150,000. The last program that I'll speak to is the Community Education Support Program. We have now engaged, or we have been asked to engage communities in this program. And this program is to enhance educational outcomes within communities, which will assist Jamaica to become a dynamic population. Because as Nelson Mandela said, you know, education is the most effective weapon which you can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela said that. And I repeat, education is the most effective weapon which you can use to change the world. Do you believe that? Yes. Education is the gateway. Tell your children them that it is the gateway out of poverty. So if you come from humble beginnings, you know, you can make it in life. You can make something out of your life, you know. But you have to seek education. It is very, very important. If I wasn't educated, I couldn't be standing here, you know. Maybe I would be at some corner, so I wouldn't be doing that because I was brought up well by my mom. So I wouldn't be joining those people who sit down on the corner and I need them answer every day. And when they need the answer every day, when we ask them how much bread Chuck leave the community in the mornings. So you have to need for something positive. You can't be just needing, and the needing not going anywhere. That's why I don't smoke, neither drink. So ladies and gentlemen, these are the 7 programs that the Social Development Commission, we are working with our community groups to engage them, to uplift their social living conditions. So we are trying, but we are asking you as well to become involved. Our contact numbers are, and we'll be moving shortly. We are now at Nashville. We'll be moving shortly. And this morning I discovered that our telephone lines have gone dead. So they have moved the lines already, and we no move yet, you know, and the line gone. So our new home will be on Ward Avenue at the U2 Connect building. That is near to Smoky Street. So that is where we will be. But my contact number is 822-2637. That's 822-2637. And my parish manager's number, and she is Miss Beverly Booth, it's 838-8319. So if you're interested in establishing a group, or if you want to know more about what we do, please contact any of us, and we will come and we will arrange an appointment for you, you know, and we can take it from there. So with that said, I could have said a lot more, but there are other presenters. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
And let me thank Mr. Osborne for that wonderful presentation that he just gave. He explained the role and functions of the SDC. He outlined the 7 programs that the SDC is currently undertaking. He explained the structure of the working groups within our communities, and he also gave us some insights into the plans that are in the pipeline for the parish. And finally, he has charged all of us as citizens to become more involved in the communities and districts in which we live. Let us thank Mr. Osborne again for that great presentation. All right, so you see, at Manchester Corp, we don't just care about your money, you know. We're not just about your economic well-being. We want to see to your social well-being as well. And on that note, I'm not going to now invite Mr. Gregory from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security to just give his contribution to this meeting.
I am Alton Gregory, currently the Public Assistance Administrator at the Ministry of Labor and Social Security at 24 Mandeville Plaza, Mandeville, with special responsibility for the social welfare programs which are run by the ministry. I'm here this evening to share with you, and first of all, I must commend the Manchester Co-op Credit Union for this noble institution for this initiative, you know, taking it to the people, because after all, we are living in a global village, believe it. So what happens here is not only being beamed to persons within the immediate environs of Mandeville, but others outside of Mandeville, even a person in the diaspora will know of the things that are happening. And again, I must say commendation for that. Now, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security is tasked with the responsibility of catering to the social and welfare needs of the nation, and also the labor-related issues. And as such, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security is divided into 3 major areas. The Labor Division, which caters to work-related labor matters, that is, we have the LMIS, which is the Labor Management Information System. It's an online facility where persons can log on to the site, input your vital information, like your resume, contact number, etc., because employers interface with that site, and so it provides an opportunity for employment. Also, the Labor Division caters to overseas employment, workplace issues, that is employment and working conditions. And of course, we have the Industrial Dispute Tribunal, which really deals with labor dispute. And of course, we also have a local employment bureau at the parish office where persons can come in, supply their basic information, resume, contact number, because from time to time, persons will call the office seeking employees. The National Insurance Scheme, NIS, and I guess most of you here are familiar with the National Insurance Scheme. But just to give you some further information on it, it came about in 1966, the National Insurance Act, and the Act states that every working Jamaican, that is between 18 through to 65, must have a NIS number. The NIS number is unique to each individual. And I said working person in Jamaica, because you can be an expatriate as well. That is coming from another country. But before you can be employed, it is the priority that you have to be registered with the National Insurance Scheme. The law stipulates that persons being employed, your employer is responsible to, it is the employer's responsibility to ensure that your NIS contribution is deducted. Currently, it states that 2.5% of your gross income should be deducted by your employer, and that 2.5% should be matched by the employer, so a total of 5% of your gross income up to a maximum of $1.5 million. That is, if the salary capping, 1.5 million, no further NIS contribution can be taken. And that is paid over to the National Insurance Scheme, and it is invested in what is referred to as the National Insurance Fund. And the National Insurance Fund, that the fund managers manage your contribution. There are various investments, because after all, just a little contribution from your salary, your income, wouldn't be able to, carry out the functions of the National Insurance Scheme. So it is invested in government papers and also in real estate, you name it. Who are the persons who contribute to NIS? The person who is employed, of course. Also, self-employed persons like cabinet makers, taxi operators, barbers, hairdressers. And also we have voluntary contribution as well, for persons who might have been working for a number of years and then they're doing their own business, you might have worked for a number of years, stop working, but you have not yet reached retirement age. To ensure that when you reach retirement that you get a pension, it is advisable that if you are no longer employed and you can afford it, you can continue to make your contribution. The voluntary contribution and the self-employed persons, they make their contribution through the stamp card. And the stamp card, it is a NIS stamp, unique to the NIS. It can be purchased at the post offices. And a card, a booklet is issued to the insured person. And for each week, currently it's $100 per week. So with 52 weeks in the year, sometime we have 53. Then for each week, you purchase the stamp, $100, and affix it to that card. When it is completed at the end of the financial year, that is at the end of the 31st of March, you submit that card, stamp card, to the office, at the local office, and then you're issued with a receipt and a card for the ensuing year. The role that the employer has to play, as I said, the employer is to ensure that the contribution from the employees are paid over to the National Insurance Fund. Now, the employee, what is your duty, or the worker? At the end of the year, that is at the end of the calendar year, those persons who are paid through with payment invoice, at the end of the year, the last pay slip for the year will state your total earnings for the year and the amount that you have paid, the number of statutory deduction, the taxes, the NHT contribution, the housing, that is the housing trust, the education tax, as well as your NIS contribution. It is important that you keep a track of that. And some of the employees, you're only paid by paycheck and you don't get a printout. It is the requirement that by law, at the end of the year, at the 31st of December, you as an employee can demand from your employer what is known as a P24. That gives you your total earnings for the year and the contribution that you have made to the various statutory bodies. What are the benefits of the NIS? We have the old age benefit, or old age pension as it is called. Currently, the retirement age for men is 65, and by the end of 2021, women will be at 65 as well. The reason being, we are living in a society where the health facilities and the health of the nation has significantly improved. Therefore, life expectancy has increased. And also sad to say, but it's a reality, the women are now outliving the men. Yes, indeed. And previously, women get their pension at 60 while men at 65. Now, the decision was taken a few years ago upon review that the playing field should be level. So, both male and female will retire at 65. However, if persons are able to continue working, they can work up to age 70 and continue to contribute to the National Insurance Scheme. If for reason of health, persons still see themselves working beyond age 70, the law stipulates that no more NIS contribution should be taken from those persons. Therefore, even when the person is working, that person, once they attain age 70, they can collect their national insurance pension and still continue working. There is the spouse allowance, where persons who is contributing to the national insurance scheme, who had contributed to the national insurance scheme and is now getting a NIS pension, if his or her spouse is not a NIS pensioner and is not contributing to NIS as a worker, that person can claim a special spouse allowance for your partner under the national insurance scheme. Clear? If the pensioner is getting an NIS pension, but your partner is not a pensioner and the partner is not contributing to the scheme, you can claim a spouse allowance for your partner. There is also the widow and widower's benefit, and this is for persons whose partner, whether married, common law, if that person dies, if the person was an NIS pensioner and that person dies, then you can claim a widow or widower's pension. What, the widow's pension? You will get that, the widow or widower's pension, if at the time of death, the partner who is alive did not reach age 55, and there are children involved, then they will get the benefit up until that child reaches age 18. However, if upon reaching age 18, by then the partner has passed age 55, it will continue, not for life, but until, if and when, that person remarry. Right. There's also the orphans benefit, where if a NIS contributor or a pensioner dies leaving behind a child under age 18, the person or persons who has custody of that child can claim a benefit for that child, and it will be payable until the child attains age 18. There is employment injury benefit, and this is very important. Persons who are working, you get injured on the job, there is a provision under the National Insurance Scheme for you to be compensated. Even if your employer continues to pay you during the time of your illness, you are still entitled to your NIS employment injury benefit. Clear? Good. There's also, in the case of employment injury, then persons might become disabled, then that it will now be converted into what is known as a disablement pension. Yours truly is a testament to that. Having been involved in an accident at a tender age, when I just started working, 2 years out of high school, employment injury benefit, after that, moved to the disablement pension. And with the disablement pension, you're still able to work. So you still work, but you still collect your disablement pension. And during your working life, you still contribute to the NIS scheme, so that upon retirement, you will get a pension which is befitting at the stage that you had left the employment. There is also death benefit. Persons getting injured, or after being injured, the person might lead to death. There's a death benefit, which is made payable to the deceased, whether it is their heir or whoever might be a partner or a child, as the case may be. The invalidity benefit, where a person become incapacitated, as in the case where a person might become blind or paralyzed, or in the case, for example, teachers, they use their voices a lot. Some persons end up losing their voice box. They are unable to work. So they are medical boarded and are passed as being incapacitated. You can get an invalidity benefit. That is made payable for life. The difference with the invalidity and the disablement is that once you are classified as incapacitated, invalidity pensioner, then you're no longer able to work. There is the funeral grant. The funeral grant currently stands at $80,000 per person. Or when I say per person, because, for example, it can be paid 2 times in that the pensioner, if his or her partner dies, then he or she can claim a widow's pension based on his or her contribution. Also, when the pensioner dies, then whosoever is taking care of the funeral arrangement, they can claim a funeral grant of $80,000 for those persons. There's also the NI Gold, and that's a health benefit for NIS pensioners. And this is covered by Sagicor, where the pensioner is issued with a health card under the Sagicor Health Program, where they can access benefits at the hospital, the doctor, the pharmacy, you name it. Where persons do not have enough contribution to merit getting a pension, some of the times they end up getting a one-off payment, which is referred to as a grant. Because where the National Insurance Scheme is concerned, you have to have a certain number of contributions to be awarded a pension. So if you don't have enough contribution, you might just get a one-off pension. Or you might have enough to get a half pension, or to get a 3/4 pension, or a full pension. In terms of? It is calculated based on your number of working years and the number of contribution that you have made to the scheme. In general, for a person to qualify for a half pension, there must be at least 400 contributions, weekly contribution that is, and the person will get at least a half pension. And well, with regards to currently, it's about $7,500 per fortnight. It might not be much, but it can pay the light bill, not true? Right. And it has been mooted for some time now for an increase, but yours truly, your humble servant, is unable to say if and when an increase will be afforded. Basically, that's the NIS in a nutshell. Our office is located, as I said, at 24 Mandeville Plaza. Just the same. Just the same. They make their claim based on what has happened, and they. Yes.
Let me come.
Oh. Well, it all depends. It all depends, because if you had a break during when you were employed and to the point when you started to making your contribution. So are you still paying every year? Well, probably you might have to go in and talk with the administrator. Okay. All right, I'll talk to you afterwards. Nonetheless, as I said, our office is at 24 Mandeville Plaza. Any queries, you can direct it to the manager or the administrator. The manager's number 356-2481 or the office number 962-2573. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Take a lady down at the NIS office, working for years. And when they go down there, they said who they was working with don't hand over the money.
If you were listening to my presentation earlier on, sir, I make mention that it's not only the employer who has a responsibility. The workers, you as a worker, has a responsibility too. And I said before, you need at the end of each calendar year, if you're not getting a printout of your salary to say how much you earn, it is your right to demand from your employer.
You know, Jamaica, you demand things Monday morning, you don't have a job.
Sir, it is your right to.
I have seen it. I have run in taxi from 1988, taking people around. You don't have a job. Even the people down at the NIS call the boss and say, you know what? Kermit just come down there and look about the NIS money, you know. And you hear what they tell me? You hear what they tell me?
I'm telling you this, sir.
Go and sue the man.
I'm telling you this, sir. It is your right. The work is part of the worker's right. You need to demand that P24, which state your earnings for the year.
Good evening. How long after you're injured on the job can you apply for compensation?
Usually, it is advisable that within the first 50 days, you should start at least ensure once there's an injury on the job, it is a must that you seek medical attention, and then your employer ought to record it. And there are certain documents. Once you get injured, you just visit the office. They'll give you the relevant document which will tell the duration by which time you ought to submit your claim.
Okay. So for persons who did not know about this benefit from NIS, and maybe say you were injured about 3 months ago or so, you will not.
No, man, 3 months. Yes, it could be.
It could.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
The officers here will tell you that, especially, the officers, police in general, from time to time, because of the nature of the job that they perform, high risk. Some of the time they have to be in chases all over the place, and sometimes you do have accidents. And it takes some time for processing, but they get their compensation. Any other question?
Yes. What is it? You're working with the person for 10 years and you never get a pay slip. You don't know your NIS pay, you know money draw from you. You have nothing to claim.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. You need. So what? You just get a paycheck or a pay or an envelope.
You just get even a check you get.
And you don't tell you anything.
You don't nothing draw from you. So what they're going to do?
Do you have an NIS number, sir?
Yes, I have an. I pay my NIS, but what about the person that just work for $2,000 a day and collect $10,000 when Friday comes? Nothing draw from him. What is his benefit? And they don't pay NIS nor nothing. That
means that whosoever is he or she is employed to is not adhering to the requirement of the National Insurance Act. And I would advise that such a person would be advised to visit the office.
But that same boss that you're working with, him not drawing tax from you, when you do 10 years, you cannot claim anything from him neither.
Exactly. So and when you leave that job, you have nothing to get.
That's what I'm asking. The question
so it is important that you ensure.
Sir, that boss is a pirate then.
If you
He's
say
not
so.
drawing anything from you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much.
Good. Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions?
take people money and don't give it to the
All right.
And if a man, because it's man, you know, you give it to your thing, go and take it.
There are regulations in on the books that deals with that. In fact, currently, there are quite a number of employers who are now being hauled before the courts for the non-payment of. They have taken the money from the employers and not paying it over. Okay. So it is happening.
Yes, it's true.
Thank you very much.
Wow. I'm sure if we had the time, we could allow Mr. Gregory to stay up here a little longer. But let me thank him though. Thank you so much, Mr. Gregory, for that presentation from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. He was able to explain the responsibilities of the ministry. He looked at the structure, explaining the difference between the Labor Division and the NIS Division. And of course, he highlighted the many benefits that are available to all of us as citizens. So thank you once more, Mr. Gregory, for that thought-provoking presentation. Let me also pause to acknowledge the presence of our police officers who are here with us this afternoon from the Mandeville Police Division. Welcome, Inspector and Sergeant. Welcome.